Hey, what is up everybody? Yes, I returned to your phone, your computer, your TV, your tablet, your laptop. I don't know what you're watching me on right now, but welcome back. It's me, it's Malcolm. This is a sweet bucket hat. It's a sweet bucket hat. Today, we are talking about James Charles once again, Mr. I'm Desperate. Funniest, the most pathetic thing I've heard in a good while. But we're not talking about that just yet. What we're talking about today is this lawsuit between him and this girl named Kelly and the Insider article that James Charles tried to beat with this Twitter video, but it backfired in a glorious way. And I honestly don't feel bad for James Charles because he kind of did it to himself. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Now, I just want to be like 1,000 right now. I had to find a free version of the article because one, I don't want to take 5 minutes to sign up just to pay a paywall just to read one article. So luckily I found a free version of the article, but I will link the paywall article by Tenbarge. So I will link her I will link her article down below so you can read the whole thing. I just picked out the most noteworthy things from this article and I just want to talk about it a little bit more because I feel like a lot of James stans mostly are using James' video as cold hard proof that this girl is out for clout, which some people are saying she's out for clout. I personally don't think that. I think, she's just trying to get what's owed to her, which honestly, go for it. And she's won already another case just like this against another YouTuber who I'm going to talk about very shortly. So people are using that as fuel to be she's out for money, she's out for clout. But again, if you were trying to get what you were owed, I think you would fight just as hard. So I think we should be fair about that. And let's just talk about this article and just my overall thoughts, because I have a lot. Now, the elephant in the room. Yes, I did get a haircut. I just finally got a haircut after 2 months. I'm looking good. I'm looking fresh to death. So ladies, I do have a Tinder, but if you want me to delete that and get your number, just hit me up in the comments below. Do not do that. I'm not James Charles. Don't do that. Anyway, so what is this Kelly girl suing for? It's a whole list, so let me just read it off real quick. She is suing James Charles for wrongful termination, disability discrimination, failure to provide reasonable accommodation, and failure to pay minimum wage for overtime hours worked. And she only worked for James Charles for 6 months, but the 6 months that she did work for him were probably his best months on YouTube in his whole career. So we will get into that very shortly, but just keep that in mind. 2018, she was fired in September 2018. So you take away 6 months from that, it's March of 2018. So in between March of 2018, September of 2018, that's when this Kelly girl worked for James Charles. So keep that timeline in mind, okay? According to the article, this Kelly girl actually wanted to settle before it got out of hand a couple years ago, but apparently James Charles' legal team denied it. So she took it to the next level, and she took it to the LA Superior Court. So James Charles is talking about how convenient it is that she's talking about it now, but maybe she didn't want to talk about it then because A, people were on James Charles' side super heavy, and B, she probably didn't think it would get this far. And also, she's probably one of those people that didn't want to seem they were out for clout at first. Just be oh yeah, James Charles, I'm suing James Charles for this. So, yeah, so it got this far. And apparently this lawsuit has been going on for about 2 years now. And again, James Charles, in this Twitter rant that he had that completely backfired and in glorious fashion, of course, was just trying to make it sound like she was out to get him, which I don't think that's really what it is. I think, again, she's just trying to get what she's owed, which is completely different. Now, the big mistake I think James Charles made in that Twitter rant video that I don't know what PR person, if he has one, I don't know what attorney would let him post that kind of video. I don't know why James Charles did that, because now you're just adding fuel to the fire when you could have let her speak her piece and then you handled it in court where you should be handling it. But James Charles threw out the number she got paid, and it seems to line up with what she said anyway, so that kind of checks out, which is the $72,000 a year, but that was after a raise, so also be mindful of that. Also be mindful that this is Los Angeles, California, one of the most expensive places to live in America. Probably behind New York, but we're not talking about New York right now. So just keep all of that in mind, and if you're a fan of James Charles, or if you're on James Charles' side right now, take that kind of information with a grain of salt. So now, $72,000 a year, I think a lot of people would up and run at the chance to get that kind of money, but Kelly said that she was working 80 hours a week. Think about that really quick. 80 hours a week to work close with one person. This isn't like a corporate job where you're like working as a team, working with different people. Maybe you see the CEO here and there. You're literally working with your employer kind of one-on-one, but not really, but we're gonna get to that. You're in close proximity to your employer for 80 hours a week. So essentially, you see this person probably more than your friends or family. That's crazy. The most I've ever worked in a single week for a job in 1 week at the most was 70 hours. And let me tell you, 70 hours is a lot. And I think I only had a half day, 1 day that week. I literally worked 7 days a week. I worked 70 hours, which is like 10 hours a day. So for her to work 80 hours, I can only imagine, what is that, like 12, 13 hours a day? Maybe like 11 and a half hours a day? Something in that area. I could be like way off. But just to think about working that much only to get 72,000 and the things she had to do, because James Charles made it sound like in his video, in his Twitter video, that she really didn't do much, but in the article she's saying she pretty much did everything for him. And when I say everything for him, I really do mean everything. So what was her official like job title? I think some people are confused about what she did, but her official title was Creative Director and Director of Operations. Now that pretty much entails pretty much everything James Charles is, except she wasn't in front of the camera and she wasn't on YouTube. Pretty much, she literally did everything. She came up with the video concepts with him, came with video ideas, edited his videos, like helped him with this daily task away from the camera, things like that. So it wasn't just she did one thing and then she was done and then she got paid $72,000. No, she literally did everything except be in front of a camera. So she said she was tasked with producing, editing, strategizing his social media, video concepts, taking photos, videos of him, running his merchandise for Sisters Apparel, which is James Charles' clothing brand, serving as James Charles' right-hand person. Basically like a personal assistant, but like beyond a personal assistant. You see what I'm saying? So basically, she did everything. And now this is what I mean by it's important to note when she was working for him, because in those 6 months that she did work for him was probably James Charles' highest productivity on YouTube. It said he was making 8 videos a month, which for big time YouTubers, that's kind of a lot, especially for a makeup YouTuber. And this was like in the era of the Sister Squad, which was Emma Chamberlain and the Dolan twins and James Charles. If you don't know, check the 2018 YouTube Rewind. They actually had like a whole segment about them. And then I think he grew from like 2 point something million to like 8 point something million on YouTube. So like he gained 6 million subscribers on YouTube within that time frame. So Kelly's basically saying, if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't have grown that much. You see what I'm saying? So people are saying she's out for money, but if you helped someone get 6 million followers, if you help someone get 6 million subscribers on YouTube, like 6 million people, like $72,000, and you're making all this YouTube money, you're making all this apparel money, you're making this money from makeup, like it's kind of like a slap in the face to give me $72,000 and I've done everything for you. Now, I did mention that this Kelly person won a lawsuit just kind of like this not too long ago. I think it was March of 2021. She won her case against YouTuber Erica Costell. If you don't know who that is, she's Jake Paul's ex-girlfriend, or if you want to even go further, an ex-Team 10 member. She was also featured in the Shane Dawson, Shane Dawson documentary with Jake Paul and the old sociopath thing. So if you don't know who that is, that's who that is. She's friends with Tana Mongoose. Yeah. So if you need more context, that's who that is. So when she won, talking about Kelly now, when Kelly won her legal settlement or whatever it was, I think she tweeted something about it was something on Twitter that she wrote that sounded like she was kind of like bragging about winning. But like I've already said at the beginning of this whole thing, like if you're fighting something and like you feel like you're owed something, I would brag about it a little bit too on the social media if I won. And like, yeah, if I won a case like that and I got what I was owed, I would kind of brag about it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, because it seems like, and this isn't the first like assistant person that's come out against an influencer. If you remember Alyssa Cardiff, if you remember her, she's a great person, great friend. Hi, Alyssa. If you remember Alyssa Cardiff, she was an assistant for Tana Mojo and pretty much put Tana on blast about how terrible she was. And I can't remember if it was about money, but I think money was like one of the main things. So like it's not a thing that influencers aren't terrible like business people. Well, not business people, but like terrible bosses. I can definitely tell that these influencers are terrible bosses. Some of them I would never work for. Like some of them, like, who's an influencer I'll work for? Let's talk about it. So an influencer I think I would work for, I don't know, T-Spill. I like that drama channel. I think I could follow her lead, and she was like, hey, can you edit this video? I'd be like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Like, I love to edit videos anyway. Or who's a famous YouTuber I would? I'm trying to give y'all a name that everybody can recognize. Man, there's so many people I would love to just like be around. Oh, King Vader. If you don't know who King Vader is, a great content creator. Love to work for that guy. Long Beach Griffey, funny dude. I'm trying to think about people that aren't canceled, guys. There's a lot of canceled people. Peter Mon. I'm pretty sure Peter doesn't need anybody to help him. He does 6 channels worth of videos. I'm pretty sure he's fine, but if Peter Mon ever needed an assistant or something like that, and he was like hiring, I would do it. You know, why not? So yeah, people like that. But again, I can definitely tell like a lot of these influencers do not know how to lead or know how to like show compassion for others, because they only think about themselves first. And when I talk about think about themselves first, we're gonna get to that. So going back to the point, people are using that tweet or whatever she tweeted to be like, she's only out for the clout, she's only out for the money. But again, if you were fighting so long and you won, I would be a little bit happy, honestly. Like, are we not allowed to be happy and relieved that we won a case that we were fighting? Is that what I'm getting this vibe? Like, come on, y'all. In the Twitter video, James Charles said he felt like he was being blackmailed and like pressured to give more money to this Kelly girl, and we're not going to talk about his allegations right now, but it's coming. Talking about pressure, Mr. Power Dynamic. Okay, very, very important, and I think this is important, but nobody's talking about this. Apparently Kelly talked to Sister LLC, which is a great business name, by the way. So before she even started to work with James and his team, she asked for a 6-figure salary and she asked for benefits. Remember the location that they live at: Los Angeles, California. Again, one of the most expensive places to live at. And you also have to remember, she did not live with James Charles. She had to go to his house. So she had to pick an area that was kind of close to James Charles. And these influencers live in, like, I want to say, is it downtown LA? If it's not downtown LA, it's like in the most expensive parts near LA. You know what I'm saying? So she had to pick a location where she would have to drive to his house. So if not, how am I explaining this? Or maybe she started living there, she had another job, she quit that job, she worked with James Charles, because she does have experience doing this kind of thing. So this wasn't like her first gig doing this. It's just, I don't know where she lives. I don't think that it does matter, but I'm not trying to like prod and figure out like the exact address. But if you had to go to someone's house and like help them out, be their producer, whatever, you had to live pretty close, right? She probably lived in an expensive area, and a 6-figure salary when James Charles is making millions, I think that's fair. I personally think that's fair. And they also said no to her benefits. All she really got was the $72,000 a year, which was after the raise. So she was making under $70,000 before, and then they bumped her up. So weird to me, guys. That's, I don't know. A lot of people weren't talking about that part where they pretty much told her no. Like she asked for a competitive rate, which I think is fair, because if you think about it, that's probably chump change to James Charles. Like, yes, it's like $100,000, but that's throughout the year, like 6 figures throughout the year. So you're making millions throughout the year. Like, you can't just pay your like creative director 6 figures. Like, you can only do 5. I don't know. That's one part that got me, because it's just like, it doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are like, well, she shouldn't have taken the job if she didn't want to do it. You got to think about the position she was probably in. She probably didn't have another choice at that point. So she probably took that, and she was hoping she would like get her foot in the door and probably grow. But obviously she didn't, because she got fired only 6 months in. So just think about those kind of things. And now this is where I'm like, there's a line, right? Like, there's a line, and then there's things you cross, and then things you don't cross. And I think this part of the article, and I think a lot of people have talked about this part especially, I think this kind of, if it's true, I think this part alone is kind of like, okay, you crossed the line here. So I'm gonna read her quote directly. While working with James, she described it as like the following. She said it just like this. Imagine having to go over and essentially pick up James out of bed, tell him to brush his teeth, tell him, okay, what do you want to eat? Okay, someone is coming to do your laundry. Okay, I'm going to get your laundry, I guess. Okay, time to start filming. You don't want to film? Well, we both know you have to, so please let's think about it. I'm not gonna get to the second part just yet, but I just want to talk about this. I'm not gonna say I don't know, is it wrong to say that James Charles always gave me like spoiled person energy? I'm not saying before he got famous he was a spoiled kid. I'm not saying that. Let me explain. He did get famous at a young age, right? I think it was 16, 17, and then he was on the cover of a magazine. I can't remember the name right now. It's a popular magazine too. But just to get famous that young and then have these people like pretty much in your face, you're making all this money. Like, how do you forget to do the basic things? You know, like set an alarm. Everybody does it. Set an alarm. Wake up. Set a personal schedule for yourself. If you're so busy, set a personal schedule for yourself. Like maybe you don't have to like release a video on a scheduled day. Like a lot of YouTubers used to do scheduled videos, like every Tuesday they would post, every Friday they would post. But like a lot of YouTubers realize that's a lot. And then if you feel like you rushed a video, you're not gonna like it, and then you're gonna be disappointed, and then it's just like you're not happy with it, and then it just makes you not want to do it. So like a lot of YouTubers like myself, I used to schedule videos, but I can't anymore. I mentally can't do it. So I only do it when I feel ready to. And I think for James Charles, and this is like, I guess advice, is don't schedule videos. Like don't schedule things like that. Sponsor videos, I understand there's a contract with that kind of thing, so you probably have to post and you probably have to keep it up for a certain amount of time. But like as a YouTuber, just post when you're ready, you know? And I think living this busy life and then not doing this like necessary things, like she said, brush his teeth. Like what? Okay. Like I know that sounds ridiculous, but there are people in the world like that where they really can't do anything unless somebody tells them to do it. Again, I'm not trying to say he's spoiled, but he's kind of spoiled. Sorry. Like, there was no other way I could put it except I think he's spoiled. That gave me spoiled energy. Sorry. Just being honest with you. And now this part right here, I hope it's not true, because if it is, big yikes. So Kelly claims that James also called her the B word and walked around naked around the house? Okay. This is what I mean by you crossed the line. I don't care how close we are, like how much family we are. I don't care what you say about that. If you're walking around naked in front of me, you crossed the line. I'm sorry. There are some things I do not need to see. So if he was walking around naked, now if you're like, well, $72,000 still isn't that bad. What, she just had to get him up out of bed, blah, blah, blah. Imagine not knowing when you have to go over to his house. Because Kelly says she never knew what time she had to go over there. Maybe it was 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m. And LA traffic, I have people like, I have friends that live over there. I've seen pictures of LA traffic. I've seen the highway and what it looks like. Holy hell, I would never want to do that. So just imagine, like, you don't know what time you're going, and then like you have to beat traffic to your employer's house. Like, that would just give me anxiety alone, and that's in the morning. So, and then she said she might have to stay over his house sometimes. Like why not just live with him in his house if you're gonna do all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that was offered to her or not, but I definitely would have taken that, because I wouldn't have to leave the house, because I hate leaving the house anyway. I wouldn't have to leave the house, wouldn't have to worry about traffic, wouldn't have to worry about the small things. I would still like go on coffee runs and stuff like that. You know, coffee runs, I've done that before at my, like, at jobs before. It's not that deep. But yeah, the fact that she didn't live with him, and then she never knew when she had to go, and she had to always like be there on time. I mean, come on. This is where I think everything really hit the fan, and why this kind of like opened up my eyes to James Charles a little bit. Now we're talking about the medical stuff, right? So at the nail salon, I think it was like in September, because that's when she got fired. If it's not September, the month before, but I digress. Her and James were at this nail salon. Kelly passed out and pretty much hit her head on the floor. She had to go get hospitalized, and she was diagnosed with a concussion. And the doctor or physician said, you know, take it easy, no work for a week, things like that. And the way it's worded in the article is that even though she had to take off, James Charles was still kind of urging her to like push out videos and like still kind of do her job, but he wasn't accommodating for her injury. So like, I don't know if James had other people that he could have like leewayed this work onto, but the way it's worded in this article is like, hey, I know you have a concussion, but I really need you to push this video. I really need you to like check the social media posts. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And again, like she had to take off. Like a concussion, a lot of people don't know this, like understand the severity of concussions, because it can mess with your speech, it can mess with a lot of things, and it can also do long-term damage. If James Charles wasn't considerate of that, I can see why like she would put that in her lawsuit. And also, I think that James Charles's team wasn't going to pay for her, like didn't want to pay for her medical bills, or didn't pay for her medical bills. So if that part is also true, that's really haunting, because you say you love this person like family, but you don't want to pay for their hospital bills. Now, a week before Kelly got fired, James Charles gave her this gift, and it was like a Louis Vuitton necklace. And Louis Vuitton is kind of expensive, obviously, so you wouldn't just give that to someone like willy-nilly, right? From going from that, giving a Louis Vuitton necklace, basically praising her for the job she's done, saying she did a great job, how professional she was, things like that, and then literally the next week fire her because of poor performance. I think, I don't know why the timing of that is so like it like people are talking about it, but I just don't understand how you go from family to fired. And that's their reasoning why they fired her, is because of poor performance, but it contradicts literally 7 days before. You're praising this person, you're giving them a necklace, a Louis Vuitton necklace, saying that they did a good job and all these kind of things. I just find that so weird. And this is the last part of the article, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was true, and that's how sad it is. Kelly claims that James Charles uses racial slurs like the N-word with the hard R. Now, in James Charles' Twitter video, he alluded to that this article was going to come out, and that part was going to be in there, that he had an old Twitter account that said the N-word, he got hacked, things like that. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, because not the same James Charles that is microaggressive to the black community pretty much all the time, not and including too when Alicia Keys was coming out with a skincare line, not even a beauty line, and James Charles was really trying to shade her. And when people called him out about that, he started blocking people because he didn't want to hear it. Also, when James Charles is performative and is like a performative activist and people are calling him out about that, he also blocks people. So, I mean, not that James Charles that's like microaggressive to black women. Not that one. Oh, it couldn't be. Couldn't be. No. So I've given you my thoughts throughout this, but like, there's a lot more in the article that you can definitely read. My personal thoughts, I don't think this girl's out for clout. Maybe the timing is suspicious, but I don't think she's really out for clout. Otherwise, she would have done this while he was responding to the allegations. I think it was like a month ago he responded to the allegations that he admitted to, by the way. James Charles fans, he admitted to it, so I don't know why you're defending him like he didn't admit that he did it. Just saying. I feel like her side is very genuine, kind of. Well, not genuine, but just like, I'm more so on her side. And James Charles does talk about the court of public opinion, which he cares about so much for some reason. Instead of trying to fight this in the legal system where that decision matters more, because if that decision comes out in your favor, then you can worry about the court of public opinion later. So James Charles got it backwards with that thinking. I don't know why I don't know why he's so concerned about the public opinion, unless, because everybody is mad at him for the allegations that he admitted to, where he was sending lewds and nudes to a minor, where his age was clearly on his TikTok profile, by the way. And a lot of people feel like that video was a deflection tactic. It didn't work, because if you look at James Charles' Twitter, the last tweet on his Twitter is him admitting what he did. So everything about this backfired. Everybody started talking about the allegations again. I've already talked about it in a video that I'll push it up here, over there, down below. You'll find it. It's under my channel. But everybody started to talk about the allegations again. The James Charles stans tried to defend him again. So we're back to square one, kind of, because it just re-sparked a flame, you know? And I don't know much about this Kelly girl. I just know that she won against Erica Costell in another lawsuit, made a braggadocious tweet about it. People are using that as fuel for her being after clout and money. But again, I'll keep saying this. If you feel like you were wrong and you feel like you were owed something, especially money, because don't play with my money. That's like my #1 rule. Don't play with my money. So she feels like she was owed money. Go for it. And it seems like one of those things where whoever gives up first is the ultimate loser. So we shall see how this plays out, because James Charles in his video said we're gonna pursue this to the full extent of the law, things like that. Honestly, I think he just put his foot in his mouth, because he just gave more fuel to, one, the public, and two, to this lawsuit. So I don't know what James Charles was trying to do. I also didn't know Twitter could let you post 7-minute clips on Twitter, but I digress. I don't know what James Charles' ultimate goal posting that video was. Whatever it was, it didn't work. But we shall see what happens with that. I will link Cat Tenbarge's article below so you can read the whole thing. It didn't work. It backfired. I don't know why James Charles did what he did. I don't know why he put that video out. He even said this is not my return to social media, but you posted the video on social media. So I don't know. I really don't know. Once again, it is Malcolm. That's me. Mr. Potato Head's over there. If you don't know who Mr. Potato Head is, he's my co-log in this. Yeah, he's over there though. He's chilling. Subscription button up here. 2 other videos over there for your own free time. Without further ado, I wish you well, wish you good health, and I will see you again next time.